Welcome back. Let's turn to security matters now. Insecurity remains the biggest challenge confronting Nigeria at this time. The northwest and north central regions, most especially, have become killing fields as not a day goes by without cases of deadly attacks by terrorists being reported. Efforts by the military to tackle the situation have yielded, well, not much results, as Plateau, Kaduna and Benue states have come under fierce attacks by terrorists in the space of days. Now, the southern region of the country is also having its fair share of the situation. And while President Muhammadu Buhari says he feels that the security agencies are not doing enough despite what has been provided by the government, Buhari expressed sadness over the country's security situation during the National Security Council meeting held at the State House in Abuja recently. He has now directed all heads of security establishments to secure the release of all abductees across the country and prevent any other forms of attacks. In fact, the president has ordered the security chiefs to ensure that all those who are being held captive at the moment in any part of the country are released on hot. Now, that is the biggest talking point from that meeting with the security chiefs. And of course, that would include those who were kidnapped during the Abuja train attack last month. Let's take a listen now to the National Security Advisor, Babagana Munguno's briefing about President Buhari's order and the outcome of the meeting.
The present situation in the country calls for collective effort by all, not just those that have been charged with the responsibility of physically securing the country. The most important thing for now is acquisition of intelligence. And the type of intelligence that is needed is human intelligence. And I need to make it very, very clear. I have to be very honest. Unless the wider society, right down to the local governments, are willing to give the type of information that is needed to block the activities of these criminals, this situation will continue to linger beyond whatever time frame we're looking at towards ending this great problem.
Well, the National Security Advisor there. To discuss this further, I'm now being joined on the program by Seyi Adetayo, who is a security expert. Mr. Adetayo, thank you very much for coming on the program.
Good afternoon.
I mean, let's start off from what the National Security Advisor said there. You have worked in an intelligence agency. Here is a man who headed Nigeria, one of Nigeria's top military intelligence agency. And then saying that acquisition of intelligence is, especially human intelligence now, it's very critical at the moment, that it's not coming. And the question people have been asking is, you can't sit down in the office and expect human intelligence to come. So what is the SSS, for instance, that's the DSS now, and other intelligence agencies doing? Why are they not able to go to the field, go to these communities, mix up with the people, and fish this intelligence rather than wait for the intelligence to be brought to them?
Okay, now if you listen to what he's trying to say, he's not talking about that of intelligence by the agency. He's talking about the intelligence from the people directly.
Yes.
Now, the NSA is the chairman joint chief of intelligence. I think they call it JIA, but Joint Intelligence Board. Is the chairman of Joint Intelligence Board, which means that his office is the warehousing where all intelligence, be it from the NIA, from the DSS, from the DIA.
So he certainly would know what he's talking about.
So he receives everything. So he's the clearinghouse for the nation. So he sits at top, on top of the whole intelligence that is being manufactured in this country. So he's speaking from angle where he has seen the gap.
Okay.
Now, intelligence are procured through. Okay, let me try to give you understanding of how the intelligence agencies work. There are agents and there are sources. Now, agents are the people that are employed by organization government or private, security or intelligence organizations. They are agents. Now, they have limitation in terms of how much they can penetrate the community, because at times their presence could be so obvious that people know something is amiss. So they need to rely on people on ground.
And those are the sources.
Those are the sources. They cultivate them. There are certain guidelines, tradecraft they use in cultivating sources. There are ones that they will cultivate professionally. There are those that will submit themselves as sources based on their positions, like traditional rulers and the rest, that are responsible to provide information to government. Now, what I can pick from what he said is that there is a kind of a disconnect in that regard, in terms of beyond the ones that the security agencies have been able to cultivate within those communities. There is limit to how far they can go. Remember, inside those forests, there are communities inside those forests. And communities inside those forests, many of them can't even speak English. All they know is their local tradition. Like the only time they come out of that forest is to go to the market, sell, and go back into the forest. So it will require the local authority to also cultivate those kind of people, to give them information which they will not give to government agency. So there is disconnect, lack of trust between those communities and the traditional institutions or the local structures within that area to get information from them. Maybe they've given information in the past, and then the information was discovered that was given by those communities because there was no commensurate response to the information given. Then the people, the bandits return to attack them. And that will affect their ability or willingness to give further information in going forward. So that is the explanation to what he has said. Now, from my own professional standpoint, I see this problem to continue until we're able to demonstrate to those people there that we can meet the intelligence with appropriate response. Right now, we as a nation don't have the capacity and capability to meet response with the amount of intelligence that will come from that.
How do you mean by that?
Remember, we've had this conversation here before, where
that we're not willing to pay for intelligence. Or
no. I'm talking of response now.
Okay, the response. So when we get the intelligence, what do we do?
What do we do with the intelligence? We need to respond. Do we have the capacity to respond to the amount of intelligence
swiftly
that will come from those? See, the moment those people decide to start giving government will be overwhelmed with need for action. What government needs to start building right now is to build resources, capacity and capability to be able to respond to information that will or that is expected to come from those areas. And it's one of the reasons why those people had to pull back. Because when you give one, when you give two, when you give three, and there's no commensurate response.
Because the reason, let's even take the Kaduna train attack, for instance. The question people have asked is that there ought to have been intelligence that this was going to happen. There ought to have been intelligence, especially after that attack, a week to the train attack. There was an attack at the airport. That intelligence ought to have been there.
Have you seen any of the stakeholders saying they didn't have intelligence? Not even the governor. Yeah, I know Governor El-Rufai for sure. If there is an issue of dearth of intelligence, he will be the first to raise it. Intelligence were given. NRC didn't say they didn't get intelligence. Intelligence were given. Neither the military nor the police raised issue that there was no. So the issue now is that, because from our own understanding, the intelligence given came with recommendations that night train travel should be suspended for now, because intelligence indicates that there's likelihood of an attack and the attack is going to be carried out at night.
So obviously this intelligence was ignored, or something wasn't done. Not much.
The gap when it comes to the issue of intelligence is about the action agency or those who are responsible acting on. At times when they don't act, there might be some reason. Maybe they don't have the right approval for them to follow the recommendation, or there are other extraneous issues around those recommendations, or there is unwillingness, maybe for personal gains, or there are power tops somewhere within the chain, the hierarchy or chain of command within those agencies, and they are not really agreeing as to, who should take responsibility. Somebody is afraid to be responsible for taking action. So there are several reasons depending on,
and the truth
what
is
could be playing on.
And when this happens, of course, it kills the morale of the primary source of that intelligence, because that primary source is not seeing action being taken.
Exactly.
So your intelligence,
so you can
just dry up.
Well, government agencies will continue to provide even when you fail, because they will highlight it in the subsequent intelligence, that they will recall the previous intelligence and remind you that, remember that we've done this before and you failed to react to it and it led to this. Now this one requires you, so that similar thing will not happen again. And what intelligence agency does is that they will not only write you, they will copy other authority that as evidence, so that to say that you are actually informed.
And something the National Security Advisor said there is that, look, if something is not done, if intelligence is not provided, this will continue for as long as God knows when. So quit means intelligence is very critical to Nigeria defeating its current security challenge.
Let me say this. I see more like an half-truth. And it's also probably strategic. The NSA have told us where it needs our own support. It has not spoken about where they need to act. So, and I think it's based on the need to know. What the people need to know right now is that do your own part. This is what we need from you. We need intelligence. When we have the right intelligence, there are other things that we have discussed within that is required of us to do while we are working to do our own part. This is what so he has not spoken about that, but I have the understanding that is what must have happened, because I can tell you for free there is lack of capacity to match what is on ground. I remember one of our conversation, I did mention that, Niger State alone is so big. When we're looking at the capacity, the size, and the amount of forces we need to penetrate those areas, we don't have it.
We don't have it.
Just Niger State alone. We have Zamfara that is also big, Canada is also big. Kebbi is now in the mix. Forgetting all other areas that we are currently having issues.
We don't have the capacity.
We don't have it. And that is the truth. And I've seen someone or there is new narrative now that, okay, let's recruit more people into CJTF to support the military. There's limitations in terms of what the CJTF can do. They cannot be allowed to carry a rifled gun. When I mean rifled gun, a gun that is using bullets, real, not DEN guns. They're using pump action. Now, the difference between pump action and a rifle weapon like AK-47, AK-49, and the rest is that a rifle weapon shoots one bullet at a time. The pump action uses bullets. Pellet would disperse, but there's limit to how far a pellet can travel. Pellet is good when it's a close quarter. The enemy is not far away. You engage, you can shoot, but it also has its disadvantage, because when pellets disperse, it can hit other targets. Now, a rifled weapon shoots a bullet at a time, and there's a way the inner is ringed inside to such that it can hit the target at precision. So which means that when you have 3 people, there are 2 innocent people and 1 person that is the target. You can always aim at the person, pick him out.
Yes, exactly.
So, and it has a long range, effectiveness, long killing range effectiveness, unlike pump action. That's the reason why that despite the effort of the CJTF, they are usually the victim. Yes. Because they will be shooting at the enemy,
and the enemy
but their bullets,
will
that distance may not hit it where their own bullet, the terrorist bullet will hit them. And that's why, those guys are brave. So what we need is not recruiting people into CJTF. It's also having that deliberate recruitment into the Nigerian Armed Forces. Right now, there are a lot of Nigerians
And
that
I know
are willing.
I know recruitment is going on, but I don't know if the speed.
Not that kind of
if it's
recruitment that we're talking
but
about.
There's also the talk about technology. I want us to take a listen to what the National Security Advisor said about technology, because most people, I mean, a lot of security experts have also argued that, look, what you also need at this moment is technology to be able to win this war. Let's take a listen to what the National Security Advisor had to say about technology.
Technology is expensive. Technology, it takes time to acquire these things, since inherently we do not produce these very, very delicate equipment. It's not as if the government is not making any effort to acquire, but you need to know who to acquire this technology from, where, when. There are certain processes. For now, I know we have, but the fact is that they're inadequate. So the government, it's a continuous process. That's what I can say about the issue of deploying technology.
There you heard him saying, of course we have, but they're inadequate. And then the processes of acquiring this technology, not so straightforward.
Okay, so yes, I know, we have challenges because we are not manufacturers, and also because of various alliance. There are certain places that because of certain foreign relationship, you cannot approach them for technology, or you will hurt the feelings of your strategic partners, and the strategic partners that that will feel hurt are not willing to release its technology until certain conditions are met or guaranteed. So we'll see us going through long processes for us to get approvals for some of this, and at times you see, these people don't manufacture this equipment and put in warehouse. It is when approval has been given, that's when it begins to manufacture. So we discovered that between the period where the contract was signed or is signed and the time that the technology will be available might take a while.
Wow.
So that is one. And yes, I give it to the NSA. Technology is important here. Technology will help you to solve your problem faster. It doesn't take the place of human from it. You see, every technology is as good as the people that are using it. And that's why we call it a process. We call it technology, people, and process. You see, of all these three, the people is critical. You can rely on the process, you can rely on the technology, but people will fail you. So you need to have the adequate people, the training, the capability, and then the morale of the people must be there. And then you need to have the amount of people to do the work. Technology will not kill the enemy for us. It will only speed up our ability and increase our efficiency. Efficiency is work done over time. So amount of work we will do over time will be increased with technology, but it will not take the place of the people in the whole process. And where we're trying to get, you see, if you look at what's happening in Northeast now, the last 3 months have been so fantastic for the Nigerian Armed Forces.
Exactly.
They've been making, huge, inroad. They are clearing everywhere. We had issues yesterday in Gaydam. Is it yesterday or the first day in Gaydam?
Yeah.
As we're speaking now, there's an attack in Gaydam. I mean, about to. Maybe the attack has started. We had intelligence that Boko Haram have already moved into Gaydam, about to relaunch another attack in that city. Those are part of the remnants within the two booms that want to, probably they need resources, they need assets, they need things. So they need to quickly do, a hurried attack and take some things with them. But the success we had now is not the first time. The last 5 months of Jonathan era, we also had success.
But
now
look at we use mercenaries.
There are two things that is common there: technology. The mercenaries brought their equipment.
Yeah, that's true.
And the people were trained. Right now we have people, good hands in Northeast right now doing the job. And there is technology because there are lots of equipments, and Tucano is being used there. Unlike the Northwest where Tucano cannot be used because of certain, restrictions that is limiting where we can use the Tucano. Yes. So there is depth of technology in terms of, but it's not only technology, capacity and capability is also important in terms of human. We still don't have that. And the victory we are having is because we went into the territory. We were not responding. We were actually taking the battle to them. And what is enhancing those movements is because there's technology, there's manpower. If we don't have technology in the Northwest, we don't have the manpower. That's the reason why we are reactionary to the problem there. And until we take care of the area of the technology, and we also take the area of the human, the moment we take those two, intelligence will flow in. Intelligence will flow in.
Let me quickly ask you this before we go. The president has asked the service chiefs to ensure that all those who have been held captives are released on hot, including those who were kidnapped from the train. About over 160 of them are still being held. I'm just wondering, how is that going to be done? Of course, I don't expect the military, the security agencies now to tell us how it's going to be done, but it's certainly not going to be easy.
It's a tall order.
Get them released on hot.
And they are seeing has given them order. They just have to obey the order. So how they are going to do
excuse.
It? No excuse. From the filler, he was straight on with his demand, and he wasn't joking. He means it. So I think they could as well could read his body language and sees that the man is tired of all this bad news. He's not really getting the kind of feedback from all his efforts and the resources that has been expended.
And to be candid, a lot of resources has been expended in that area. Yes, it's true. We may not have done, but within what we have, the country has done fairly well in terms of providing resources. So if I were in the president's shoes, I would definitely feel the same.
We shouldn't underestimate
the target. I mean, this target, get them released. It would be nice. I wish it could happen.
We shouldn't underestimate the capacity of our government security forces in terms of particular operation. Northwest is a general issue, but this one is specific.
Very specific.
The train victim,
yes,
kidnap victims, and one or two other victims from two areas, and I know those areas that the president is actually making reference to. Those are specific operations. Do we have the capacity to launch such tactical operations? Yes, we have. Because those ones are direct and limited to certain level of resources and manpower. We have. The possibility of being able to do it without casualty would depend largely on how watertight their plans are and how good the plans will be. Because if the plan is so good and it is watertight in the sense that the basic principles of security around information security is managed, and only those people who have the need to know get to know details as to what concerns them for the operations to be successful. The operation will be successful, but the extent of the success of the operation would be determined by how many victims are being able to rescue on hot. So I know we have. I know. I've seen special forces from the Air Force. Air Force, fantastic people. They are well equipped and they have special forces. I know that DSS has that capacity and capability, even on its own, to launch such attack, and they're getting air cover from the Air Force. And I know that Nigerian military, Nigerian Army itself, they have people that have been, especially those who are trained in Belarus and the rest. I don't know where those guys are right now, but these are people that have been trained in such kind of operation. But in terms of capacity, we shouldn't underestimate. We have people that would, let me say, in the likes of SEAL Team 6, US 6, SEAL Team 6, we have. In fact, DSS have different categories of SEAL team that can carry out such, close quarter, tactical operations like that. But those ones are direct pinpoints, operations, not like you're going to go and clear the whole of northeast. So let's give them the benefit of the doubt that they work out something and they will see result.
Adita, thank you very much for coming on the program, and thank you for your insights. Wonderful one. Well, that's how much we can take on the program this week. We thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.